It's like playing Monopoly with somebody who cheats, okay? And they realize, hey, there's an old Monopoly game in the closet. I'll just go in there and grab another handful of cash and bring it over here and quietly distribute it to the other player, some of my friends who are playing the game. That's what they've done.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. We've got a great show lined up for you today, my friend. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to start off today with this Zero Hedge article, Transitory Hyperinflation Ahead. Last week, when discussing the latest earnings call commentary, Bank of America said, buckle up, inflation is here, and showed a chart of the number of mentions of inflation during earning calls, which exploded, more than tripling year over year per company so far. It's the biggest jump in history since the Bank of America started keeping records back in 2004. Who knew that just 1 week later they would need a bigger chart, a much bigger chart? As of now, after the third week of earnings, mentions of inflation have now quadrupled year over year. And after last week, mentions have jumped nearly 800% year over year. While the implications are obvious, we leave it to the Bank of America to explain what this means. On an absolute basis, inflation mentions skyrocketed to near record highs from 2011, pointing to, at the very least, transitionary hyperinflation ahead. Yes, really, because if there's one thing about hyperinflation, it's that it's transitionary. And joining me on the line right now to help us understand that and so much more is Quinton Hennigh. He's the director of Nevada King Gold Corp. NavadaKing.ca is the website. Quinton, thanks so much for joining us here once again here on Press for Truth. I want to get a follow-up from you on the companies, on Nevada King, how that's been going. But before we get into that, what do you make of that Zero Hedge article, or I guess just the question, where do you stand on the inflation debate yourself?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Ernest Hemingway's quote, I've gone broke two different ways, gradually and suddenly. How do you have transitionary inflation? That's nutty. Okay. I think people, we've talked about this. I've talked about this in many interviews. I think the last time we spoke, we discussed this very same topic. Inflation is here. It's coming, more so day by day. People are starting to take note. Why? Because they're having to pay for stuff. Okay. It's very simple. As soon as people realize, oh my gosh, to buy food, to buy, lumber to build something, all of a sudden it's 2 or 3 times what it was a year ago. It's really hard to cover up that kind of, palpable, experience with what we're seeing. What is driving this inflation? Look, it's very simple. Bad choices by people who think they're doing the world a favor by handing out checks and other, on this, obvious monetary stimulus that they're implementing. You know what? In the long run, it's not going to do anyone a favor. It's going to be very detrimental to most people, and especially the lowest income. Okay, what seems like a short-term fix is going to be extremely painful for people down in that lower tier. Why? Because they're not going to benefit when a price of a Big Mac meal costs $15, or buying their first house to save up requires $50,000 down payments. I mean, these are numbers that are absolutely absurd. Okay, this is not going to help anyone, and they need to stop it, but they aren't.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, in the midst of all this, the central banks are just printing into oblivion. As I understand it, about 25% of all currency created happened in 2020. How would you say this affects gold prices, or how does this affect the commodity space in general?
I would actually argue that it's more pernicious than what you just described. It's not necessarily just money printing. The money has absolutely just gone, like it's almost we'll say it's like playing Monopoly with somebody who cheats. Okay. And they realize, hey, there's an old Monopoly game in the closet. I'll just go in there and grab another handful of cash and bring it over here and quietly distribute it to the other player, some of my friends who are playing the game. That's what they've done. Okay, it's not about it. This is wild, but again, it's about thinking they're doing the right thing for certain people through giving out checks and stimulus and so forth. But it's going to turn around and bite them in the rear. Okay, what does it mean for gold and silver? Like, I think, generally good things. I think we're still in the bull. It's been painful in the gold space for the past 6 months, but we're starting to see it have a bottom here in the past couple of weeks or a few weeks, I guess, and start to head in the right direction again. Over the long haul, I'm very strongly in the view that we're into a bull. We're seeing a commodity bull as a whole. Gold is definitely going to be part of that, if not soon lead the charge. Gold has been, we'll call it depressed, whether it's artificial or not, is up for debate. But because it's being somewhat held back, it's got a lot of room to run now. Okay, silver is doing exceptionally well. Look at other commodities. Look at metals like copper. Copper's at an all-time high. Now look at food and stuff, and corn. I mean, my gosh, corn's taking off like a rocket. Lumber, wow, that's crazy. 3 times as much for a 2x4 today than it was a year ago. Yeah, gold's got a lot of room to run here.
Yes, I agree. It is good to look at these others as examples, and this just shows the potential in 2021 for gold. So let's get into Nevada Gold in particular, a little bit about that. Nevada, as I understand it, is the gold capital of the world. Interesting choice. What would you say is what makes it unique there?
Yeah, look, Nevada is a world-class gold jurisdiction. I mean, hands down, it's produced probably on the order of 200 million ounces of gold over the past few decades. Okay, what's unique about it? Well, it's the Basin and Range province. It's basically a series of mountain ranges with valleys in between. Anybody that's driven across the state of Nevada knows what I'm talking about. Okay, well, what does that mean? It means that about probably 65% of the explorable terrain in Nevada lies under shallow cover. If it's down in the valleys under gravels that cover blocks down in the valleys, or maybe recent volcanics or something like this that have covered the area, I estimate there's 60 to 65% of the ground left to explore. Okay, if it's already produced 200 million ounces and it's got perhaps another 100 million ounces of resource and reserve, and that's in the 1/3 that's been explored aggressively, but we still have 2/3 left to explore, you think there might be a chance? Yes, I do. I think we need to kind of look ahead. Nevada King is doing that. We're looking ahead at the next generation of exploration and discovery in this wonderful gold district.
Well, you've actually done this before. You've looked ahead, and you've had a successful company actually raise a rally of over 400% in just the past 6 months. So this is something people need to pay attention to. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you might kind of relate that business model to Nevada?
Okay, yeah, you're talking about Newfound, which is in focus in Newfoundland, on the Queensway project. All right, and it's been a wild success. Now, interestingly, both companies, both Newfound and Nevada King, were started back in late 2019 at a time when the people who were starting these looked ahead and said, "Yes, I think we're going into gold bull. Let's get this thing going in the right direction." So, people think, "Oh, Nevada King's just an add-on to Newfound." No, they've actually been following a similar track. Newfound, because of the success, obvious discovery success, has taken off like a rocket. I mean, since they IPO'd in August, I think they were trading at $1.30 that day. Look, it's up fivefold, easy. All right, that's a wonderful success, and again, it's a testament to exploring in a proven district that has been, we'll call it, neglected. People haven't looked at the little bit harder targets there, like this buried targets under till and whatnot. But we found a veritable motherlode, it appears. All right, we want to do that in Nevada now. Yes, Nevada King's a little bit behind Newfound, but the same people, and we have the same ambition to make a new gold company that's going to be equally as successful as Newfound.
You mentioned it's essentially the same people. Would you say that's essentially why it's basically kind of just transitioning from one to the other, and you're going to kind of replicate what you did there here. Is that the goal?
In many respects, yes. We built a good team, an exploration team inside Nevada King, just like we have inside Newfound. So we've got a very solid team to take things forward. The management and the style in which we're building the company, and it's a little bit different path because it went public via the acquisition of Victory Metals, but we're now public. So we're basically, if Newfound started in August, now it's up here. Here's Nevada King. Yes, we went public a week or two ago, and we wanted to catch up. So a lot of the same business thesis behind both companies.
And I always like to ask, what are the major catalysts for Nevada King? Things that's already happened or potentially coming down the pike. And also, what are the ticker symbols?
Okay, well, look, first of all, the exploration opportunities we have really range. You've got early stage targets that I've recommended they stake. These would be areas that, based on some geophysical data, suggest there's a prospective block of ground underneath gravel cover. Okay, these most of them have not seen a drill hole. So there's early stage. I mean, talking about cutting edge type stuff, all the way to more advanced projects like, say, Atlanta or Lewis or Horse Mountain, where there is historic drilling, also other historic data, geophysics and geochemical data and stuff that suggests there are big systems there. Okay, so we have this kind of smorgasbord spectrum of opportunity. We are going to be drilling at Atlanta here shortly. That'll be the first cab off the rank, so to speak. It is definitely a system that can grow. It's already got a pretty substantial resource, but it can grow. Exploration dependent, might be 2 or 3-fold times as big as what it is now. Idea here, let's drill up something that a major is going to want, something big. Same goes for Horse Mountain and Lewis and then other things like Iron Point and so forth. These are all big parts, big blocks within the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend, which is the second most prolific trend in Nevada. If we get out there and explore, I think we'll make the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend the most prolific gold belt in Nevada. I think we have a huge land position covering many, many highly prospective parts of that belt, and I think we'll find the rest of that trend. All right. Symbol, you asked about the symbol. Look, I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe NKG, and it's on the Venture Exchange. Okay, so right now it trades exclusively on the Venture Exchange. There will be pursuit of other listings through time. We just got listed through the the combination, we'll say, with Victory Metals, but we have plans to grow and get more shareholder exposure.
Okay, fantastic. I want to encourage people to check the links in the description. We'll have all the proper info down there for you to check it out. Quinton, any final thoughts just on the gold space in general and where you see this going in the third and fourth quarter of 2021? I happen to be of the belief that we are heading towards some more uncertain times with what's going on with this pandemic, with potential wars in the Middle East, with there's a lot of things brewing, and if we have a potential dollar crash, all these things could mean big things for gold. What's your general views on that, on the idea of potential uncertainty coming and how this might be a good time for gold?
Well, look, bull markets climb the wall of worry. Okay, so there's never a case where a bull market is just all manic good news, go, go, go. There's always pullbacks. The pullback in the gold space that we've seen over the past few months, since really August of last year, is an example. But once you get back in the bull, or you step back and you look at it from 30,000 feet, you can see the picture. We're in a bull. There's no question. Okay. We're going to resume that bull. There will be hiccups. Like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Look back to the 1970s. I mean, people thought, okay, we had the oil crisis. We had another oil crisis. We had, the Iranian hostage situation. We had, pick your favorite, world calamity at that time. It was a nightmare. You were kind of in one of those interesting times again. So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. go back to what we talked about at the beginning, the stupid mistakes that are being made right now on behalf of people who think they're doing everyone a big favor. They're going to bite everyone in the butt. Okay. And the problem with that is it's going to cause hiccups in the gold space, in the markets in general. There will be a lot of trials and tribulations, but overall we're in a gold bull. And I am very confident over the next, like you said, 2, 3, 4 quarters, we'll continue to see that resume. And it'll probably go on for considerable time after that even. Yeah.
I agree. I feel the exact same. I think that's exactly where we're heading, and you guys seem to be very well positioned to be able to handle all of these ebb and flows of what's about to come. So once again, I want to encourage people to check out the links in the description. Quinton, thanks so much for joining us here today again on Press for Truth.
Thank you, Dan.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.